Welcome to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors, and your host for Upticks. Today's our 65th episode, How to Retire. All right, Cory, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Feels good to be back.
You had quite the holiday there. I got a lot of to-dos for you.
Yes. Yeah. The last month or so have been very eventful in a good way.
Do you want to show our audience what's changed on your hand?
Yes. So on October 12th, I was married. There's a ring there now. So that was obviously the big event. The last few months leading up to it obviously were hectic in a good way. Lots of planning to do, but the actual day itself was wonderful. We had a great day and a great honeymoon.
I know, it was beautiful weather. You had it at the Carriage Club, which if people in Kansas City, or if you're listening to this across the country, it's probably a country club that was established in the early 1900s, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so one of the older clubs in Kansas City. They have a beautiful ballroom, and everything was awesome. I'm really happy for you guys. And
thank you.
Like I said, the weather was perfect for pictures and running around town, and I really had a good time. And thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Of course.
I didn't marry you, but I was in the wedding.
Yeah, that's right. One of my groomsmen. But It was it's one of those things, obviously, where the weather, the day you get married, you have zero control over it.
Right.
We were cautiously optimistic just from kind of watching the forecast in advance of that weekend, but we lucked out.
Yeah, and then you guys took off, right? You went out of town, and where'd you go on your honeymoon?
We did. So we got married on Saturday. We left on Monday for Costa Rica, and we went to 2 different spots there. So we spent 8 nights there total, which was really nice.
Wow, that's a lot.
It was.
In the same hotel room, or did you move around
Moved around.
Oh, you did?
We actually went to 2 different resorts in 2 different parts of the country, which, interestingly enough, they told me when we were there that in terms of actual land, that it's not any larger than West Virginia, the country of Costa Rica is.
Wow.
But it has like 7 different climates and ecosystems. So in Costa Rica, if like a
7?
Like a 50-mile drive from one place to the next, it's almost like a completely different country in terms of the topography, the climate, the ecosystem, etc. Which I can at least speak to.
Was it snowing in one area?
Not that different, but the 2 that we went to, the first 3 nights that we stayed, were kind of inland in the middle of the country. There's a volcano there that's called Arenal, and the resort that we stayed at was kind of at the base of that, and you can picture that was higher up off the ground. We were basically kind of in the rainforest and in the jungle, and there it was a little bit cooler, it was very humid, but there would be a lot of rain, just like you can imagine, obviously, in a rainforest.
And then what about the other place?
And then when we only went 50 miles west of that to the Pacific coast where we stayed, and it was what I picture, at least from the few places that I've been, like in Cabo, for instance, in Mexico, where it's hot, mostly dry, completely different.
Were you on the beach on that one?
Yes. Yeah.
So which resort was better? The first one or the second one?
I think probably the first one.
Really?
First place that we stayed, we really liked. It was really nice. It was neat because it was at the base of the volcano, so there was a lot of natural hot springs that flow through there. So the place we stayed had 22 different hot springs that you could get in, and they were 11 different temperatures.
And it's all natural?
It was all natural.
You got in there? Mm-hmm. Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, we had a great time though. All of it was, we had a few adventures, but the biggest one was day 1 when we woke up there. I really thought that I had the flu.
Cassie told me that.
But we were able to go to an urgent care clinic in Costa Rica, see a doctor, get a prescription, and get it filled all within about an hour.
Oh, wow.
A lot different than sometimes the way that it can be here in the United States.
And you felt better in a day or 2?
12 hours.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad you're okay, and I'm glad you guys had a good time, and congratulations.
Thank you. Good to be back, though.
Yeah.
We're ready for a return to normalcy.
We got a lot of work for you.
It's good.
So again, for today's topic of the show, you and I've been practicing since 2006. And when did you start in financial services?
2010.
Yeah, 2010. You started as an intern, right?
Correct.
So this is your 9th year. This is my 13th year. And throughout our careers, you and I's focus has been primarily retirement planning. Mm-hmm. And we've literally met with hundreds of individuals who are either in retirement or nearing retirement. And we've also gone on and gotten our designations, chartered retirement planning counselors. And so we've seen a lot, we've done a lot, and we help a lot of people with retirement. So I thought for today's show that for the person tuning in, that we could just talk about how do you actually retire? Because I think it's a nice goal for a lot of people, but they don't really think about what all takes place or what all the key considerations you actually need to make before you retire. So why don't we start off, we got 3 ideas here or considerations to make. Why don't we start off with number 1 here, which is probably pretty obvious.
Right. So step 1, or the first consideration for how to retire, is getting your financial plan in order. And that's something that's obviously, like you said, it seems fairly clear and obvious, but let's talk a little bit about that.
Have you ever met somebody, a new client, who was already retired and didn't have a financial plan?
Yes.
Yeah, and so have I actually. And typically these people that do that, they're actually in pretty good shape
Right.
because they typically get a large pension, so they might get a monthly paycheck, they get Social Security, and they say, Jake, I've got this extra money to invest with you all, but my retirement's fine because I'm already getting a nice pension and Social Security.
Yes.
I would argue, though, in some circumstances, though, those people are outliers, or most circumstances, I'd say they're outliers.
Absolutely.
For the vast majority of individuals that we meet with, they certainly need to have their financial plan in order, and that covers a lot. Right? So number 1 in that financial plan is you want to make sure, do I have enough money that when invested appropriately will generate a return for me to live off of and sustain my lifestyle?
Yes.
That's probably box number 1 that you want to check off. And that's something that Cory and I, we enjoy doing with our team, is we'll crunch the numbers and figure it out based on your nest egg and how we want to invest it. Can we generate enough income from that portfolio to sustain, hopefully a 30-year plus retirement time frame?
The one thing I want to add to that in my opinion over the years that I found I just can't stress enough to people, is also, though, really having a good idea of how much money that you need.
Yeah,
so
which is really hard,
maintaining
though.
your lifestyle. I know, but I realize that can be difficult, and I understand that life happens and things pop up. But
so what's a tip? So what do you tell people? So what if they come in here and say, you know what, Cory, I don't really know how much we spend on a monthly basis. What exercise do you put them through, or do you encourage them to think about before they retire?
At a really high level, the first thing I do is just figure out, okay, how much monthly income are you taking in currently, and looking at their situation. So if someone's already maxing out their 401k, they have a big chunk of money in their savings account, they don't have much debt, maybe a mortgage, maybe not, but they don't have a lot of outstanding revolving credit card debt, those things that can kind of give me an idea of, okay, are you spending more than you're earning or less than you're earning?
That's really good. So yeah, a good place to start if you don't know how much money you're going to want to spend for us would be, take a look at your pay stubs. What are you taking home or clearing from your paycheck today? You and your spouse, or if you're single, just you. And then Cory's right, as a professional, we'll look at your debt and your savings and some of your other accounts just to make sure, we'll get a feel of how that cash flow is really working for you. But for us, one of the values that we bring to our clients is we want them to transition right into retirement. So if you're bringing home $8,000 a month,
Yep.
we want to keep you bringing home $8,000 a month.
Yep.
And not say, well, now you can only live off of $6,000.
Right.
Because that may certainly be the case, and we'll obviously tell you that. But if you want to sustain your lifestyle, you may only need to work 2 or 3 more years to be able to get that number up to $8,000.
And haven't you found that generally when that's the case, people they'd rather just work a few more years
Right.
to be able to have the retirement they want?
Yeah, and don't fool yourself. That's exactly right. Don't think that you're going to retire and just start living off of ham and cheese sandwiches and never go out, never do anything. That's
a mistake.
Yeah, it is a mistake that people make. They think their lifestyle's dramatically going to lower, and it really typically doesn't, in our experience at least. Or if anything, you actually might spend a little bit more in retirement because you're not at work all day.
Yeah,
You're not at work all day. You can go to Amazon and shop online,
Sure.
or maybe you're doing that at work anyways.
Right.
Or you can go to Walmart, or you can plan road trips, or the mall, or whatever you want to do. There's a lot of places to spend money when you don't have to be somewhere for 8 to 10 hours a day.
Sure.
So that's number 1. Is obviously we want to look at your assets. We want to look at your cash flow. We also want to look at your debt. Like Cory mentioned, it's okay to have a mortgage in retirement. In our opinion, mortgage is what we classify a good debt. A bad debt would be like high credit cards, something that you have to pay a lot of interest on that's not tax deductible. So that we might want to help you get cleaned up. But it's okay to have debt in retirement, but we want to definitely visit it.
Yes.
Another big part of the planning process is looking at your Social Security estimate,
Yep.
along with health insurance. That's a really hot topic. If you're under the age of 65, which a lot of our clients do retire before they're 65, they are not yet eligible for Medicare. And a lot of employers are no longer offering health insurance for their retiree. Now, you'll typically get COBRA, which is something that's offered for 18 months, but after that, you're on your own. So we typically will bring in a health insurance professional to help us crunch the numbers and look at the market, and then we plug that into the plan to make sure that you can afford it. That's big. So again, all this is all encompassing. James on our team is a certified financial planner, so he can go into different categories and dive a little deeper if it's related to tax. Cory and I certainly do the retirement portion of it, so that's our big focus. And then again, we have a team of 9 of us that really all collaborate when we're looking at an individual situation on helping them retire with their financial plan. So number 1 is get that financial plan in order. Again, there are some outliers of people that don't need it because maybe they have so much money that they know they can't possibly spend it down, or they get a nice pension and Social Security, and you add all that up, that's more than what they need to live off of.
Yep.
But I think, number 1, how to retire is go see a financial advisor who is planning based. Most of us are out there now. You definitely want to look for someone that's independent, but the reason we like our independence is that we don't have to answer to a bank, or we don't have any other hidden agenda. Our clients literally pay us. We don't have an employer paying us. And so we're going to give you our unbiased, fiduciary minded opinion. And that's what I think is very important.
Absolutely. So if getting financial plan in order is number 1, right? So we've checked that box.
Okay.
Next is, number 2, the next consideration is, what are you going to do every day?
This is big, believe it or not. A lot of people don't think this through. And we have a lot of conversations with our clients after they retire, because they come to us, they say, Cory, Jake, I am just so stressed out, or I hate my boss, or you know what, I've got $1 million. I know I'm going to be fine. You guys tell me that I'm fine financially. I just want out of there, right? But then what happens is, especially if you're younger and you retire, is that the days start ticking by, and there may be all these things that you want to do, but all of your friends are at work, right? Or your spouse still works, or maybe you have kids and they're off to college, right? Or they have kids and they're busy with their lives. So here you are sitting at home with all this money, and you don't have to go punch a clock anymore, but you don't know what the heck you're going to do.
Right.
And it's really tough. And in fact, there's been a lot of research out there that men struggle with this more than women. I think men find a lot of their purpose in their careers.
Yeah.
And they tie a lot of their, maybe you can call it ego, I don't know what you want to call it, but a lot of their meaning or their worth to their position, where women, I think, just do a better job of separating the two. So men typically struggle with it a little bit more so. And again, it's just deciding, and you don't have to have everything mapped out, and that's not what we're suggesting, but you definitely should take a step back and talk about it with your family or your friends, or just maybe do some self-reflecting and meditating on what is my purpose going to be, right? If I'm no longer going to be a manager, or maybe you're in an administrative role, or whatever it is that you do.
Or a salesperson, whatever it might be.
Yeah, what is the new purpose? How are you going to fill this 8 to 12 hours a day where you're normally at work or getting ready for work?
And I think just sort of zooming out and trying to see that on a bigger scale, if you can imagine in a 20, 30, 40-year career, everything that happens in your life at work and then outside of work, and then understanding that when we're looking at someone's financial plan, they might be planning for a 30-year retirement. Right? Think about how much is going to happen in 30 years. And like you said,
that's a whole nother career.
Yeah, you don't have to have every day and every year mapped out, but you have to realize that it's not just a 2 or 3 year period where you're not working anymore. It's the rest of your life.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome, and it's exciting. I mean, we've had some clients do some amazing things. I have clients that have written books. Mm-hmm. We have clients that do volunteer work. We have clients that have started up businesses and are doing extremely well financially.
Yep.
What else is out there with your clients? That's some of the things they've done.
I have a client that they sold just about everything that they had. They bought a boat. They went and sailed around the Caribbean for several months. They came back, and then they moved to Spain. And they're literally just traveling the world now.
That's, I've had clients sell their homes and live out of, a fifth wheel or a motorhome, and they're traveling all over the United States. So there's just some really cool things that you can do. But you really should sit down if you're married with your spouse and say, what do we want to do in the next 30 years? And some of our clients literally do nothing. Mm-hmm. And they love it, though. You know what I mean? Because that's okay for them, right? They're okay just, right. You know what I mean? Yeah. And maybe they're living a healthy lifestyle. I'm not saying they're doing nothing, but maybe they're exercising. They get to spend more time on preparing meals and their diet and nutrition. And, they're going to the gym, right? And they get, pickleball is a huge thing now.
Yep.
More and more of our clients are playing pickleball, and it's a good social activity also. So there's just a lot to do out there. But I would encourage you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm sorry. Also, what I've kind of got a lot of joy in seeing is, just being friends with lots of clients on Facebook and just being connected is, seeing the stuff that people do with their grandkids, for instance. If they're able to be around and, either watch them or go volunteer at their school one day a week or whatever it might be. Really being able to be involved and be in their lives.
Right. And don't waste all this wisdom that you have. I mean, I think, sadly, maybe in our culture that, people in their 50s and 60s aren't valued as much as they should be. I think it's huge, if you do want to write a book or start blogging or whatever the things that you've learned, just share that with your family, your friends, or the next generation.
Sure.
I think that's something that gets skipped over a lot, and I think it's a shame because, somebody in their 50s or 60s has a whole lot more life experience than I do. And I'm always open. I know when you were, wasn't it when you were, you asked a lot of your clients for advice, I think was it around your wedding or was there something else going on in your life?
No, really a lot of it was just around as we were preparing for our wedding. It was not only asking for advice as far as, the wedding day itself goes, but when I talk to people that they're celebrating 30, 35, 40, 45 year anniversaries, it's like, okay, I'm just now getting ready to get married.
Right.
And you've been married for 40 years. How the heck did you do that?
Yeah, exactly. So again, sharing that wisdom, however you prefer to do that, it's pretty exciting. And you should definitely think about these things. And, so financially, Cory and I can crunch the numbers. We'll help you check all the boxes. We go through kind of our own checklist to make sure everything looks good with your financial plan. We've been doing so much. I think that checklist is it's not like a formal checklist, but it's just a natural progression mentally.
We need to think
that you and I go through with our team to make sure that you're ready to retire. But you should sit down and say, okay, what am I going to do if I'm not going to my company, at 7, 8 o'clock, every day and leaving at 4 or 5? What am I going to do those 8 to 12 hours? And it's pretty exciting, but you want to at least think about it. I'm not suggesting that you have to have everything mapped out, but you want to just have some sort of thought so that you're not smacked with this, oh my gosh, this is awful.
What have I done?
Right, or I missed my job, or I missed my coworkers, or, geez, I'm only 55 years old and I'm not ready to retire. I want to go back to work because I actually really liked my job. We have some clients that work way beyond 65.
True.
Because they love what they do. And there's nothing wrong with that either.
And while it's a different stage in life and in a career, even I was on my honeymoon with my wife, and toward the tail end of it, I told her, I said, you know what, this has been a blast, but I'm really actually excited about getting back home, like getting back to work, getting back to doing the things that I'm doing. And that was after just 8 nights of being away from it.
Right. So I know I feel that way too.
I don't know if I could be and she on the other end is like, I could do this every day. She's okay with a permanent vacation, but for me, it just being gone for 8 nights, it's like, okay, I've sort of checked this box. I'm ready to get back to it.
Right. Good. So that's number 2 is, kind of figure out what are you going to do and where are you going to find your purpose and your passion. Okay, so the third tip that we want to share today, what was that?
Don't let fear and greed impact your decisions.
Yeah, this is a big one. We see this, it's not wildly common, but I do see people make some mistakes where with their investments, the market might pull back a little bit and they get really scared and think they have to go back to work.
Can you give me an actual example?
Yeah, so it just happens. We understand going into retirement that the recessions are going to happen and market pullbacks are a normal occurrence in the market cycles. And we prepare our clients' portfolios for those. But what happens is when you retire, you recognize that, Jake, I'm no longer saving money in retirement. Now I'm spending, and you certainly don't want to see your account go down at all, but you certainly don't want to see it go down 20 or 30%, and neither do we. And so with our clients, we like to make sure that they at least have a buffer. We typically put at least 5 to 10 years worth of money, not even in the market. We'll buy bonds or cash or some other fixed income instrument to protect them against that. But you don't want to get caught up in the news and what Wall Street is saying or CNBC and get really scared and make some rash decisions and take all of your money out of the market or something, because you could get it wrong, which then would actually do far more damage to your plan than just riding out the wave of the market. And also, you want to be careful, and I'll say this a little bluntly, but there's a lot of sleazy advisors out there, sadly, that are calling themselves advisors that will use fear and greed to try to motivate people to become clients of theirs. So they'll say that you need to be in a mutual fund, stocks are too risky, or you need to buy this annuity because it's quote unquote guaranteed. And so just be careful out there. You've got to continue to stay educated and understand what your advisor is doing, and understand that if you're working with someone, that they have a process that's worked before. And particularly with us, because you and I are chartered retirement planning counselors, I think that's a very important value add to our clients, is that, hey, we've taken the time, and we've gotten the designations, and we've understand retirement. That's what we do in here. And so that's what I'm talking about. Fear and greed is just be careful. Don't get swayed by the media or some sleazeball that's just trying to sell you a product or to get your account.
And I wanted to talk just briefly too about the greed side of that. I would also encourage people, and I don't mean this is coming, I'm attempting to say this from not a selfish place, right? Because a lot of our clients that we work with, we've worked for a long time and we've done a lot of planning. But whether we're your advisor or someone else's, if you worked with and planned your retirement for several years with someone, and you had a process in place, and you've made that transition, and now some salesperson is trying to sell you some illusion of grandeur about how much better they can do for you than you're doing, don't just go and neglect all of the planning and everything that you've done because someone's trying to sell you on why or how there's a better way to do things. I'm not saying that there might not be, but it's kind of, in my opinion, it's one of those things where if someone is trying to sort of uproot, if an advisor is trying to uproot all of the planning and everything else that another advisor and client have done, they better have pretty good reason for trying to do that, in my opinion, as opposed to just trying to get the business for themselves and see what happens.
Yeah, so you want to be careful out there. Be careful who you trust, right? You want to look at someone's background. You can go to Broker Check, which is an independent website, sponsored by FINRA. You can type in Cory's name, my name, whoever's name. You can see if there's been any serious disclosures. If somebody has a disclosure on their record, that means something probably pretty bad happened, and you definitely want to ask your advisor about that. But you're right. Don't neglect or discount the work that, if you're working with a chartered retirement planning counselor, the effort that they've put into your plan.
And the effort that you've put into it as the client.
Yeah, exactly. So if you bought in and said, okay, you guys are telling me to save this much, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do. Don't let some prettier widget come along, some shiny object that you think you're going to make twice the return in.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so you just want to be careful of that. So again, fear and greed are very real. Sadly, they motivate us as humans. You have to understand that and just take a step back when you think that maybe your emotions are dictating your decisions a little bit, because unfortunately they're often wrong, right? You don't want to make an emotional decision without hard facts behind it and reasoning, and maybe having a third party's opinion, right? Which is us, and which is what we help with. Very good. So now, by watching this show, hopefully you've figured out how to retire. So number one, get that financial plan in order. Most all people, in our opinion, should have a financial plan. Should be done by a retirement planning counselor with a fiduciary-minded tilt to it, and then again reviewed regularly. Also, know what you're going to do. How are you going to fill that void for 8 to 10 hours a day? And then don't let fear or greed sway you off course. If you've got a plan and we need to make adjustments, certainly we'll do that, but we don't want to do that because of an emotional reaction to something.
Yep, that's excellent.
Did we leave anything off?
I don't think so.
All right, perfect. So now I want to get to the fun part of today's show. It's been a while since you've been on.
The lightning round.
Yeah, so I want to do the Bird of Prey lightning round, sponsored by Falcon Wealth Advisors. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
There is no prize, and we won't hold you to any of your answers.
Okay.
But I want to hear your thoughts on a few things. I've been asking our last couple guests some questions, and I think they're probably still pretty pertinent. I don't think I've asked you these before.
Okay.
So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and start the clock, and we'll just fire away. There's only 5 questions, okay?
Let's get started.
All right, so let's go ahead and start the clock now. All right, so we're fast into the World Series. I know your Cardinals are out of it, but who's going to win?
Astros.
What's the series as of the recording of this show?
2-2.
Ooh, okay.
Wait a minute. I think it might be 3-2 Astros now.
Already?
It's 3-2 Astros.
They won 3 in Washington?
Yeah. They were down 0-2, and then they won the next 3 in a row.
In Washington, right?
I think
Isn't it 2-3-2?
in Washington.
Isn't it 2-3-2?
that's right.
So they're going back to Houston as of the recording, and you think Houston's going to win it?
Correct.
All right. What's the Chiefs' record going to be? I think as of this recording, we've lost 3. Is that right?
They're 5-3.
5-3 of the recording. So what are they going to finish the year at?
11-5.
11. Do you think they'll win the division?
I think so.
So they'll win the division, maybe have one home playoff game. We'll see how that goes. We need Mahomes back.
Yeah.
That'll be big. All right, so we're kind of already, feels like we're already leaving fall in Kansas City. So what is your favorite time of the year? What's your favorite season?
Fall.
So the 2 weeks?
The one that's the 2 weeks of fall that we had in October. I'm glad that's when our wedding was. But yeah, generally fall. Although I'm kind of a proponent of all of them. There's something about each season.
You like all the seasons? Mm-hmm. Really?
I do.
Interesting. Good for you.
I play platform tennis or paddle, which is an outdoor game in the winter, and that's, like, for me, that's sort of the saving grace, for the lack of a better term, about winter. And that's one of the things that I look forward to doing outside when it's cold.
Interesting. Okay. When's the next recession going to be?
2021.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about it. It feels like it's going to get delayed, but we'll see.
You know, it's interesting, though, because it's like every year since 2013, analysts and experts are always
2
saying,
years.
well, it'll be next year, or it'll be 2 years from now.
Yeah, nobody knows.
I don't know.
But we're prepared, right? That's the most important thing.
We're prepared now.
Right, exactly. And then what's the best piece of advice you've ever received? This doesn't have to be financially related. You might have already said something, so if you want to pick something different than you said, but what's a good to great piece of advice someone's given you?
Give me a moment, because I don't want to repeat what I've said previously.
You're on the clock.
Yeah.
I say what comes to mind, because if it needs to be repeated, maybe it's
okay. Sure. No, I was going to say, make sure that other people see the same enthusiasm. Make sure that people see the enthusiasm for life that you have, and the things that you're doing.
Interesting.
In other words, maybe another way to put that would be, don't hold back. Like, if you feel passionate about something, if it's retirement planning, if it's baseball, if it's golf, whatever it is, you don't have to, there's no need to hold yourself back, or, put on the governor and try and, put on like an about face and show something. People want to see the enthusiasm for life that you have, and the enthusiasm that you have for whatever you're doing.
Who told you that?
I heard it on a podcast.
That's pretty good. I like it. So don't be scared to be enthusiastic.
Yes.
About whatever it is you're enthusiastic about.
Yes.
Good one. I like that.
Thanks.
All right, perfect. So that's all the time that we have for today's show. We hope you enjoyed it, as always. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify, please mash that thumbs up button or give us 5 stars. We really appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, same goes with YouTube, a thumbs up if you think it's worthy. And certainly please subscribe to our content, Upticks. You can also find Cory and I out there on all the social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I always say my Twitter handle, but I don't get that many more followers. So it's Jake Falcon, CRPC, if you want to follow me on Twitter. And what about you, Cory?
Mine is @Cory Bittner, KC.
Thanks again for watching, and we hope you all have a great week.